Does she have a name?
I think my daughter just calls it Turtle.
Wow, you guys are a really basic family.
Yeah, basic family.
We're doing basic animal names. Got it. Today we are joined by All About Ami. Well, actually, Stephanie of All About Ami, and we are talking about amigurumis. I've never made one.
Oh.
Wait, that's a lie. I actually have. It was 2 crocheted pieces and then seamed together, and I made a little bathing suit top for her.
Aww.
Why don't we talk more about yours, though? I think that's what people are here for. Tell us, so how did you get into making amigurumis?
It's interesting because I was always a very crafty child, so I loved making my own friendship bracelets. I got jazzy jewelry, and I learned how to knit and crochet from books, because back then there was no YouTube.
No tube of you.
And it was so cool because I could make my own hats, I could make my own stuffed animals. So this little kitty cat here was my first amigurumi as a 10-year-old, and my sister requested this cat. So I crocheted all the components, and as you can see, fiber film, and the attachment is literally by one string here.
First of all, the fact that you still have this is pretty cool.
It's actually amazing because my sister, I had no idea that she kept it, but on our wedding day, she was my maid of honor. She goes up there, and then she pulls out the cat, and I started bawling.
I was like, bawl. I love that.
Mascara. She was saying how I made things for her when she was little. I would make sweaters for my teddy bears. And it's interesting because then I took a really long break from crocheting because I was so focused on school. And it wasn't until after I got married, I'm working, now I don't have assignments anymore. I don't have to study anymore. And I rediscovered amigurumi. And back then, I think most of the amigurumi kind of looked like this with these proportions. But nowadays, it's very large heads, small extremities, very kawaii Japanese look. So as an adult, I picked it up again and I made this Jigglypuff because I love Pokemon. I played Pokemon games, watched Pokemon growing up, and I fell in love with it. And the funny thing is, because as an adult, I didn't have the necessary tools. So this was fiberfill. I remember my parents bought me fiberfill. But I got Kleenex because I really wanted to finish it up as quickly as possible. I didn't want to go to Michael. So I was just stuffing Kleenex in it so he cannot get wet, otherwise he will disintegrate.
Oh no.
And like I didn't have the safety eyes.
You could put him in like a box or something. You shouldn't even be like, you should put him in one of those like plastic boxes that they keep baseballs
in,
you know?
It's embarrassing, but I love looking at it to see how much I've progressed.
That's awesome.
And like I didn't have safety eyes, and Jigglypuff needs the felt anyways.
So
I wanted to show you some of my most recent pieces. This is my tortoise, my turtle.
Oh my god, she's so pretty.
And we have little lashes, as you can see now. These are the eyes that people use. I did some surface slip stitching. It's just fun learning new techniques and then implementing it into your amigurumi.
Wow, this is super cool. That's so cute. Cool. That is awesome. And what else you got? Okay, that one's,
so I have these two. So these two are a part of my Chinese New Year series. So it's been a tradition that every year I crochet the zodiac animal for that year. So I started off my blog with a Chinese New Year doll, and there was a dragon. Every year there's a different zodiac animal, and it's a fun challenge. So last year it was the dog, and there are many amigurumi dogs out there, but we wanted to get this brushed look. So we used a Lion Brand yarn that was slightly fuzzy, and we actually used a dog slicker brush, and we just fuzzed it up. And I had no idea you could achieve this. Like from far away, you can't even see the stitches. It has this brush look. And then my husband Ryan had the idea to add color with a Sharpie. Rather than switching color, it's Sharpie. So instead of trying to switch brown yarn, so you don't have to switch yarn colors. You're just kind of painting the Sharpie and brushing it out.
Not an episode goes by that my mind is not blown.
So this was a fun technique.
And
then
tell us about
2019 is the year of the pig. So this little piggy is this year. And one of the new-ish techniques was the eye indentation, because people were wondering how we got the shaping, but it's actually just a normal sphere-like shape. But there are yarn ends on the ends of the safety eyes, so we literally pulled it back to make that inset, and it suddenly looks like we shaped the cheeks and we did the protruding, but it's not. Yeah, it's just the pulling. So we love little tricks like that, and sharing that with our audience, the little squiggly tail.
So Stephanie, what would be some, maybe let's say 3 pieces of advice for people that are going to go and attempt to make amigurumis because they're so inspired by this episode right now?
There are definitely 3 techniques that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Now, if you look at amigurumi, there's technically a right and a wrong side. Because you're crocheting in the round,
Okay.
you're supposed to flip them inside out, which I didn't know when I first started.
Either.
So that
This
is something
makes
to be
sense.
aware of. So you have the choice to have the right versus the wrong side showing. So that's the first tip.
Noted.
Now the next 2 have to do with getting less holes in your amigurumi so that your fiber fill isn't showing through.
Yeah.
Now, I always tell people you have to move down a couple hook sizes because when you look at a yarn label for worsted weight, it'll say
Right.
maybe 5 millimeter.
Sure.
So they're using a 5 millimeter and wondering why their fiber fill is coming through. So I always recommend doing a 3, a 2, going down so you're getting really nice tight stitches like this little piggy here.
Yeah, this is
you
like
don't
you
see
can't
the
see
fiber fill.
anything.
And
Yeah.
it just looks so much cleaner with
does.
small stitches.
This looks like store-bought right
Aw,
now. No
thank
joke.
you.
That's very cool. Okay, and what's our last
The
piece?
last one, and it sounds really funny, it's magic circle, invisible decrease. It makes us sound like magicians, but these are
Yes.
ways to decrease the holes. So magic circle is a technique where you're not getting this hole when you're starting out. And I have tutorials for both of these on my blog, but as you can see here, right here, this circle,
Yeah, you
there's no
don't see the
hole.
hole.
Exactly. And the invisible decrease is a way for you to decrease without getting those gaps when you're decreasing stitches. So those are very important to know in your amigurumi journey.
Very good to know. So we have crochet hook size, we have flip inside out, and we have invisible decrease and magic circle. Get into it, guys. And that is going to set you up for some cute success. You like that? Cute success?
Cute success.
Thank you so much for coming. I like to do a little toast. Maybe we'll have Kitty join us in the
Sure.
toast.
Happy.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank
to a
you.
wonderful tea with Shira. Stephanie, you have a question for everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you interested in making amigurumi? And if you do amigurumi, what was your first project?
That's a double feature question. Well, listen, if you aren't already following Stephanie, aka All About Ami, all of her Kitty, I'm going to put you down. All of her information is going to be below, and you can follow her there. And remember to give this video a big thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And thank you all for joining us for another wonderful episode of Tea with Shira. Stephanie,
Thank you for having
a
me.
pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Got
First
some
off,
whiskers.
does it have a name?
I don't think she named. We just had very basic names. We just Kitty.
Kitty. Simple, to the point.